Hi, my name's Douglas Peacock and I wanted to share with you today a little bit of what I've found on dyslexia and ADHD or ADD. You know, one of the things I'm looking at it from an energetic point of view, because I've seen so many boys and girls out there that suffer from this, and energetically through the way that I'm able to see is I'm able to see into where the disconnections are being made in the mind. Now I'll share with you a couple of cases that I've worked on and the differences of what's happened. And one of them, a while ago, I worked with this little boy who came because he was having trouble, and what I saw in his mind was like the wires to the battery, so to speak, on a car were on the wrong cables. And one of the things that we did, this little boy was only about 5 years old, and while his mum was sitting there with me in the room and we're sort of talking away, the little boy was just fidgeting around, and you know, he wouldn't sit down and he wouldn't lay still or anything like that because he was just being who he was. And when the energy was ready for the connection to be made, one of the amazing things that happened is the boy just stopped. He was getting into all sorts of stuff and just being a little boy, and then all of a sudden he just stopped and stood very still, and the energy at that time was adjusted, and it only took a couple of minute or so to adjust, and then all of a sudden the boy just went back to what he was doing. And as I was talking to the mum and saying, yeah, the connections have been changed, and now what happened is we just got to allow him to reboot and reprogram it. And the funny thing about it is, as we were doing it and we're sitting there just chatting and monitoring what was going on, all of a sudden he just burst into tears and all this emotion released. Talking to his mum about 2 or 3 months later, she said it had totally shifted. Whatever was going on with him and why his connections, he was now able to focus, able to get what he was needing to do and take action. And you know, for me it was really rewarding because there was nothing, and you couldn't scientifically say, oh, this is what happened, da da da. It was just an energetic thing of being able to see where the connection is, adjust the connection on a vibrational level, and in doing that, it all happened, it all moved. Now the points here that really stood out to me is the boy was just moving around, but when it was time to know for the thing to happen, the boy froze. He just became very still, the adjustment was made, and then he just went about his business. And the mum watching said to me, wow, you can see something happened. What happened? You don't know. She didn't know, and I said, well, they've rewired what the wires were supposed to be on, and the results are just amazing. Now, I've also got this other guy I'm working with at present, and he, lovely young guy, he's in my little son's class, and one of the things about this boy is he's just a happy guy, just really happy all the time, and yet he has to do so much extra work because he's dyslexic. One of the things that he has to do is he can read the letters and the words in order, but if you then try and get him to say certain words just from off a page from all over the place, he's got no recall, he struggles with recall. What I noticed in him, from an energetic point of view and from being able to see with these eyes, not these eyes, you know, seeing on the other dimension, is and his energy field, what was happening, it was everything was in his head was compacted. It was like, if you imagine like a telephone box, you see the guys on the side of the road and they have these telephone chambers and they've got them open and there's all these wires and that in there, and it's like that, except it was, you know, like had two stuck in one, and it was like over compacted. And so what we did the first time is I brought him in and got him on the table, and he's just chilling out and really laid back. His mum was there observing, and one of the things that I did with him, I just got him to go through his mind and see where the pressure points were. I said, can you feel any pressure in here? He goes, oh yeah, not really, but and I said, no, just, well, what about, you know, where about? He says, oh, behind here. And I said, okay, can you feel that grit? Because what I could see is I could see the sandy grit that was in there, and we moved it, and then we went to a few different places in his mind, and then all of a sudden he just let go. It's just like his whole body just relaxed, and in the relaxing it opened up some portals and some channels, and we did a little bit of cranial sacral work and stuff like that and just adjusted it, and then we just let him go. And you know, his mum, I talked to his mum later on, and he said that yeah, he'd been very tired that day. He said he was tired, he just wanted to chill out, and he actually had a sleep. And so a week later he came back and we did some more work. Now this time I said to the mum beforehand, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but what we need to do, or what I get a feeling what's going to happen, is we've got to go in and there's going to be some real intricate work that needs to be done. And this I've experienced this many times on different sorts of situations where the first session, what it does is it opens it up, and then the next session we go in and we do the intricate details where the wiring in the brain, and what I can see in the brain is there's like, it's almost like calluses over parts of the brain, and the signal can't get through. And so I was going in there and opening that up and releasing it on different levels. And as I did that, it was funny, he hopped on the table and he just fell straight asleep. He just gone out of his body. And as I worked with him and was able to go in there and get into the aspects of the brain where it was needing to be stimulated, for want of a better word, and then other pieces were needing to be untangled. There was like wiring, and this is just stuff that I see on different dimensions of needing to be unwired. And one of the things is, as we untangled it and put it in the right order, his whole body gave a shudder. And then he came to about 5-10 minutes after I finished working with him, and he just felt so much more open. For me, watching it and watching when the energetic shifts happened, one of the things that happened is like his whole mind began open, and as I look in the back of his head, and it was just like looking out into the universe. And so the connections for him to be able to connect to the universe and the consciousness, and to be able to drag information through. And I said to him, you're going to get a knowingness. There's going to be a knowingness that comes with you. The thing that we're going to need to get you to do is to be able to put the structure in place so that you can go through the schooling system and life. But one thing is, you naturally have this ability to create great ideas and things like that. And so it was just about bringing into alignment so he could get his reading and writing in order so that he can achieve the goals. Now I've got a couple more sessions that I'm going to do with the little guy, but this is, from a dyslexia point of view, this is the way that we begin to untangle it, and it's because of the wiring being too compressed that it doesn't open, that the trouble was there. When it is allowed to be opened up, and the major thing that I become very aware of is I don't want to shut down his natural abilities and his skills, because his creativity is through the roof. And that's what we want to keep there, but we want to be able to open him up so that he can function in the schooling system and make life easier for himself. And so this is just something that is coming through. It's not something that you can go and see a Western medicine doctor about or anything like that. It's the energy. There's just something there. You can either see it or you can't. And I've met a few other people that have been able to do such things, and it is just something that happens. Now, also this young fellow had a brother, and his brother was ADHD. Now, what his parents had done is, for a year he'd been on Ritalin, and the sad thing about it, but when they took him off it, because they saw how it was just dumbing him down, he was just like a zombie. He was just so passive and had lost all his spark for life. Now, one of the things that I recognised with him is there's nothing wrong. And one of the things I said to him, I said, you can see stuff, can't you? I said, you just know stuff. And he says, well, yeah. And I said, you can see, and because one thing that I'm able to do is I'm able to see beings and things like that. I think you can see that being over there, can't you? And he looked at me and said, what do you mean? You can see it too. And I said, well, yeah, it's not unnatural. It's just one of the things you do. And what I was able to do, and I said, you know what your problem is in class? And I talked to him about being in class, and he said he'd go out, and he says he'd just get bored. And so he'd be just tapping with his pencil and then swinging on the chair, and his teacher would get mad with him, because the teacher, is being the teacher, doing what the teacher must do. And so I said to him, well, we've got to work inside the parameters and the boundaries of schooling and things like that. So we need to get you into a order so that you can feel safe to have this knowingness and to be able to work out write down the things that the teachers need so you can pass your grades and things like that. But the biggest problem that he found is he didn't want to be in his body. And what he'd do is he'd come up out of his body and he'd be out in space, and he'd be out zooming around in the ether. If anyone knows about astral traveling and all that sort of stuff, he's out basically doing that sort of stuff. And the reason why he didn't want to be in the body, because it would bring up fear of being wrong or being getting in trouble and things like that. And when I got him to ground in his body, and we actually held him in his body while we did the process and got him to shift, there was an energy of being petrified, of being able to, gee, am I able to do this? And if I stay in my body, am I safe? And it's why he was taking off. Great creativity, but so frightened of being in his physical body because of the condemnation, blame, shame, justification, all that sort of stuff being projected onto him. And what we did was we then had to clear that energy so that he could then be more comfortable in his body with going into being able to do what he wants. And so what happened here again is we allow the expansiveness of the creativity to stay there, yet what we do is we get him to be grounded and get him to bring people into a place of being able to activate and step forward and work inside the boundaries of the schooling system or your work or whatever it is. And when you're able to do that, the world's your oyster. You can do anything. So it's not right or wrong on where they're at. It's just being able to identify, again, working with the mind, working with the signals, and it's being able to see the stuff in the energy field. When you see where the connections are misaligning in the energy field and why certain things are happening, you can adjust them, and then they can go forward and really step into their full potential. And that is one of the greatest gifts that I've ever seen from these young guys. And so I share this with you because you may know somebody that could have that same problem, and it's just that they're just misunderstood. And if you want to get in touch and say, just ask me, because one of the things that happens is I can see what's going on in each person, even when I'm talking to you over the phone. If it's your son or whatever, I can read the energy because it's connected. It's just something that I can do. And I'd love to be able to help you, to be able to help your loved ones, because unless you know about this, how else are you going to find out? And so why I put this out there is to let you know so that you may know somebody and to be able to get out there. And there is another way. You don't got to use drugs. There is another way, and it's not wrong. It's just what's happening, and there's just some connections that can be made, some chemical balances get changed, and away they go. There's so many roads up the mountain, and I would love to be able to help you if you find your young guy is struggling like that. So hey, my name's Douglas Peacock. You can get in contact me through my Facebook page or off our website, douglaspeacock.com. Okay, enjoy. I hope that's been helpful. Take care.